Hi, we're Roy and Karen, and this is a flashback to a week from long, long ago.
This was back in 2003, and our oldest daughter had moved to Colorado. And this is back in the days when we had a 30-foot RV, a Class A, and we just missed her, and we said, let's plan a trip to Colorado to go see her. We were living in Los Angeles at the time. Actually, a northern suburb of Los Angeles called Santa Clarita. If you guys have heard of Magic Mountain, that's where it was. When we planned our longer trips like this, what we always did was that first night that we were packing after work, we would drive as far as we could.
He would drive.
Karen didn't like the Class A, and that's why when we're shopping nowadays, we're looking for one of these B+ 25-foot jobbies. You know, something with a van front or something like that. She white-knuckled the whole time whenever she would drive. She just didn't like it.
Especially on LA freeways.
And 14,000-foot Colorado mountain passes. Mm-hmm. This was back, we had GPS, even in 2003, because I was in mobile computing at the time. I had what I guess you'd call the precursor to a Chromebook. It wasn't a true laptop. And I had a standalone GPS I could hook into it. And so we could find our way around. And so what I would do is I would say, okay, here's these 4 Walmarts we might make it to that first night. And okay, we just hit the first one. Can we go another hour? Yeah, let's go another hour. Okay, another hour. Okay, should we stop here? No, I can do another hour. Make me a pot of coffee, honey. Our first stop on this trip really was the highlight of the trip. It was going to Monument Valley. And I think most people, you say Monument Valley, they have no idea what we're talking about. But when we show them the pictures of it, they go, oh, I know Monument Valley. Isn't that where Forrest Gump was running down the... Yeah, okay. It was amazing. We stayed in Monument Valley overnight, and we never drove around it. We drove into it, and we drove out of it. It was still amazing. And that's one of the things I'd like to do when we get our new RV, is to go to Monument Valley.
Go out there and Boondock and some of the outlying
for a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Hang around, experience it, because it was gorgeous.
And really soak it in. So that was our first night in Monument Valley, and the place we stayed at was a very famous place, Goulding's. Goulding's was actually built in order to film the John Wayne movie, The Searchers, way back. Went to the restaurant there, and that was the first time we had Navajo
flatbread.
Yeah, fry bread.
Fry bread, yeah.
It was imagine a taco this big. I mean, it was just amazing, just filled with beans and beef and cheese, and and the bread was. It was good. We could not eat that today.
No.
It was probably why we were as well-rounded as we were. And then on the way back, we noticed that there was an indoor pool. And so we took Bridget and you to the pool.
Yep.
I'm sure I was in it, but
that was a highlight for Bridget always, to go swimming.
Yeah. Trying to find campgrounds with pools was a big deal for me.
During the spring break in some of these places, they hadn't even opened yet.
Yeah. And so I guess I should mention that. Our RV trip each year was always at spring break. We tend to always come back Easter Sunday. And you'll see at the end how that plays out for us. It's always the same. It was a lot of fun. The next morning we wake up and we're in Monument Valley, but we're heading to Colorado.
What day is today, Karen? Sunday? April what?
April 13th.
We just left Goulding's and we're heading towards Durango. And I feel like I'm in a John Wayne movie.
And we come to Four Corners, which, how exciting.
That's cool. A foot in each state, a hand in each state, and bam.
You know, it's a photo op.
Yeah.
There it is, you see it. It's somewhere between Four Corners and Mesa Verde National Park, which is in Colorado. Somewhere in that vicinity there, we stumbled on a sign and it said dinosaur eggs or something like that.
Footprints or...
Yeah, something. And so we stopped, we went in, and there were a bunch of Native American kids. Let's call them 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. And for $5, they would take you and show you where these dinosaur eggs and dinosaur poop and dinosaur bones and prints and wherever they were. So we did that. But we didn't make it from there to Mesa Verde National Park. And when you think about it, this is a great example of how we travel. So in the morning, we are in Monument Valley. By lunchtime, we're at Four Corners and dinosaur eggs and whatever else. And then the afternoon, we spend maybe 3 hours in Mesa Verde National Park. 3 hours. And then we just keep on going. I don't know where we spent the night that night. Some campground around there, but I could not find anything in our records that would tell me where we stayed.
Well, it was 20 years ago. So.
A little difficult to find. But the next morning, we get up, and now we have to go from the Mesa Verde area. And our next stop, which is not a planned stop, was Pagosa Springs.
Beautiful area. Absolutely gorgeous.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. Now we're going over one of these 11,000 foot mountain passes where there's 14,000 foot peaks above your head. And we're doing this in
April.
And it really, in that area, it's still winter. The snow is tens and tens and tens and tens of feet above our head. And they just plowed you a corridor to get through it, correct. But it is 20 years ago. And for 20 years, I've been telling this story. Okay, we're going through Wolf Creek Pass, 11,000 feet. And we're coming down, and we come down into Pagosa Springs, and the streets are just steaming from all the hot water from these
springs.
The hot springs. So I go to the map and I'm going to look, and I've been telling this story wrong for 20 years because we had to take Wolf Creek Pass to get out of Pagosa Springs. It's just funny how those things go. But it was cold. And we saw the hot water and we go, we're going in the hot tubs. So we pulled into the Pagosa Springs joint where it's all these various different hot tubs with different temperatures.
Of the natural hot springs.
Yeah, and you're overlooking this beautiful river that's down there, and you could hear it from up where we were. It was amazing. And we went
Smile. Okay, who wants to go in? Okay, let's go.
It was really cool. Now, some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, Roy, you were in Mesa Verde. Now you're in Pagosa Springs. What happened to Durango and the $1 Million Highway and West Silverton and
Hooray.
Ouray? What happened to all that? We only got a week. We got to get to eastern Colorado where our daughter is, and we have to get back to LA, and we have 1 week to do it. So we're only going to see the things we can see along the way. We got to take the shortest route to get there, and that's what we're going to see. I want to go. I want to do the $1 Million Highway. I want to go to Durango. I want to go on the Silverton and Durango train. I was so disappointed. It was closed. It doesn't open up until May 31st.
We caught another train. That's coming
That's
later.
coming up. That's coming up. We leave Pagosa Springs and we go up Wolf's Creek Pass, which was amazing.
That was some pass.
It was, and then I don't know how many miles we're gonna go. It's a couple of 100 miles before we get to Alamosa, and which is potato country, Colorado, and that's where our daughter is. And for the life of me, I have no idea why. Well, I do know why. She had a boyfriend, and I guess that's where he lived, but it was in the middle of nowhere. At least that's what we thought.
So we investigated and saw there's some highlights to go see there.
So we wake up the next morning. We're thinking we're going to spend the next 2 days with Danielle, but she got to go to work. So we're going to keep ourselves busy. And what is right down the street, I would say maybe 20, 25 miles away, the Great Sand Dunes. So we're on our way there. That's where we think is going to be our first stop, but it wasn't. We pass giant sign, Gator Farm.
Hey, Bridget, where are we? Mama, where are we? Oh, did you hear that?
Sort of.
Gator Farm. So we
In the middle of the Rocky Mountains.
in the middle of nowhere. So we go in there, and what it is, it's not a gator farm. It's a tilapia farm. And the gators are there to eat the leftover tilapia from after. Once they fillet them, they throw the bones to the alligators so they don't have any waste. And I think that was the first place that Bridget had a true alligator encounter. Mm-hmm. And I have a picture to prove it. So we played around the sand dunes, and I'm sure I've got video playing of that. It was really a very cool day of doing stuff that Bridget really enjoyed doing, the Gator Farm and sliding down those dunes, and maybe we'll have other family adventures to show you, because Karen and Bridget, they have had multiple occasions where they like sliding down hills. I have other videos of that.
Or rolling.
Or rolling. And then we went back and we hung out with Danielle after work. The next day, I found out that there was a kind of a ghost town kind of a place, an old mining town called Creede. Again, not far away, maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes away, and they had a mine tour there. I said, let's go do that. Let's go take the mine tour. Now, keep in mind, we don't have a car. We have a 30-foot RV. This is what we use to get around. And I've gotten very accustomed to driving this thing. I could even parallel park this thing, no problem. So we go to Creede, nice cute little town, and I'm looking for the mining place, and I'm looking, and I just don't see it. But I don't see that it was right there. I must have been looking there, and it was right here, and I went right past it. And the next thing I know, I'm on a dirt road. And I'm thinking, well, it must be the dirt road that takes us up to where the mine is. So we keep going. And we keep going. And it gets a little snow on the ground, but I keep going. And all of a sudden, you know, after driving up this thing for maybe a mile, it's like, it's getting very snowy. And I'm in a 30-foot RV on a one lane dirt road going up into the mountains.
With a mountain on one side and
a river
on the other.
Or a creek, whatever it was on the other side. There was no place to turn, and I'm not gonna back up for a mile. There's just no way. We're gonna fall off the edge of this thing. So now I gotta drive up a little until I can find some place where it widens out. And I gotta tell you, it felt like the longest half a mile ever. And it was probably only a tenth of a mile, but it felt like it was forever. And I found this little spot where it widened out to maybe, I don't know.
Maybe 2 car lengths. It was a turnout.
Keep in mind, we're a 30-foot RV, and so I'm gonna say it's about 50 feet, because I could go forward about 10 feet and then back up around 10 feet and go forward about 10 feet. Anyway, I made a 270-point turn in this RV. It was amazing. I'm so glad we got out of there. And the second we got down to the bottom and it turned to asphalt, boom, there's the mining tour. But it was an adventure. And like I've always said, my honey, if nothing goes wrong, you don't have any stories to tell. And we survived. On April 17th, we are leaving Colorado, and we have to head back because Sunday is the 20th. So we got 3 days to get from southeastern corner of Colorado back to LA. And I'm not driving straight through. We're gonna stop and we're gonna see things because we're already all the way out here. We left Colorado, we headed into New Mexico, and we went to the oldest trading post on the western United States, west of the Mississippi River, which was called the Hubble Trading Post. And not far from there was the Bandera volcano, which I don't even know I don't have no recollection of seeing it, and I have no photographs of it, but I remember it. But I think we went there because it was connected to something else called the ice caves. And this was a place where all year round, the way that this cave was situated, the water that sat down in there, it was frozen. But we kept on going. We went through New Mexico into Arizona, and when we were doing our homework about this trip, one place that came up all the time, Canyon de Chelly. It came up every single time. It was extraordinary. It was so worthwhile making that detour to go there. And
Where are we? Canyon de Chelly?
Yeah.
And what is that thing?
Spider rock.
Oh my God,
It's humongous.
it is.
You don't even know if spiders live on it, but it's called.
But we're driving right by the Petrified Forest and the Painted Desert. You know, you gotta stop. We went to this area. It was just south of Sedona, where Montezuma's castle is, which is old dwellings.
Native American dwellings
back
carved into the
in-
hillside.
Back in 1000 AD. It was also right by that little town, Jerome. And any of you who have ever been to Jerome, and will try to picture us in this 30-foot RV driving through this town. It's a town built on the side of a mountain, and the road is so narrow and it's so twisty and windy. And thinking back on it, that's how I drove. I didn't even give it a moment's thought. And we made it through no problem, but I don't know if I would do it again.
Well, we took the Verde Canyon Railroad ride
did?
before we went up there, and
Oh, was it before?
got to enjoy that beautiful scenic area. And then going up through Jerome was our way out.
Oh, see, I don't remember any of that. The Verde Canyon train, it went through such spectacular scenery. We gotta hit the road, we gotta get going. We didn't end up home until Sunday morning. And again, I have no recollection where we spent the night. I'm assuming it was probably at a Walmart, maybe in Bullhead City or who knows where. But the following morning, which is our normal for these RV trips that we've now done 3 years in a row at that point, for school break, we end up back home on Easter. And sometimes we have left stuff behind. Sometimes Karen would distract Bridget and I would go hide some eggs. And I think this particular time your sister came by and she hid all kinds of stuff for us. And that's the video you're seeing right now. So that was our week. We started it on Friday the 11th and we ended up on Sunday the 20th back home in Santa Clarita. We've done one other video like this one, which is our week.
The fall colors.
Karen had never seen the fall colors. So I'll link to that one over here. If you found this interesting, go check that one out. I think that one's even better than this one. In the meantime,
We appreciate you stopping by.
see ya.